Hello, welcome back. We're going to continue our series. If you've been following from the beginning, if you're not, quickly go to the beginning of the playlist. You can get the all overview of what this series is all about. So this series is basically tailored towards absolute beginners, those who are planning to get started in web development, HTML, CSS, design. So because this is just to give them a way to be able to like get started in a way that is more easily to approach. So, and even also if you're an intermediate and you just want to like brush up and have your fundamentals, definitely you can follow along with us, and you can share with people. I think from age 12, even 10 can follow up on this series, and it will help them a lot. So and it doesn't matter from age 10 to 60. For me, I believe everyone should know how to code basic websites these days. It's really easy to get started with. So uh, in this section, we're going to be talking about introduction to HTML5 elements. So we've been discussing HTML and HTML5, but then in this course, I quickly want to explain, because it's very easy to get confused. Like, what's HTML? Then what is HTML5? What's the difference? So initially, there used to be different versions of HTML. Like maybe every 2 years or every 3 years, they add something new to it. They bump the name up and stuff like that. But since the release of HTML5, there haven't been any increment anymore. There is no HTML6, HTML7 or things like that. So they just start to like standardize the old HTML stuff. So HTML is basically HTML5. It's the same thing these days. So, but then when HTML5 was released, then there was some new additions that was added to HTML5 that make it more expressive. We call it like semantic, like it will increase the semantic of what HTML even means, in the way we express information on the browser or on the screens. So what are these HTML5 elements that were added when HTML5 comes along? So this is it. So HTML5 introduces more descriptive HTML tags. That's a word. More descriptive. So descriptive is actually a good word to use. Like when you're using main, you know that this is a main. When you're using header, you understand that okay, this is an header, this is a footer, this is navigation, video. So these elements are describing what they do by themselves. Like by just looking at the name, you know that this is it. Article, this is an article, this is a section. Before HTML5, all of these things are represented with basically div that doesn't really mean anything. So but with the advent of HTML5, we start to like put semantic meaning, descriptive meanings to what HTML tag are and what they do. So like for example, we have the use of a main element with two child elements inside. So these are the kind of language you're going to be seeing in HTML often. So we have what we call parent element, and then we have child element. So the parent and child relationship is more like how they are organized in the code, in the hierarchy. So for instance, you can see this code here. We have this main here, open main, and then the close main. And inside the open and the close main, we have two other elements inside, the h1 and the p tag. These right here are children of main. So main serves as a parent, and h1 and p start like the child of main. So what main are used for in HTML5, in HTML these days, is like, this is the old main of this page. This main page, everything is in this main. So the beginning and the end, everything you see in this main is the whole of the content of this page. And then we have header, we have footer. You see the use of all of this different as we move along, but just keep them in mind that you can have header to describe a head section of your website. You can have footer that describe the footer section of your website. You can have nav that describe navigation area in your website, like the menu, for instance. This kind of menu is a navigation, so you can describe it with this nav. video for videos, articles for articles on blogs, and section for to separate different sections in the main content. So that is that. As we start to use these things, you start to understand them better. So what the advantage of HTML5 gives to us is that it gives the search engine the ability to be able to read our content in a more descriptive way. So search engines searching your website, they understand that, oh, this is a footer, this is in the header, this is a navigation, this is a video, this is an article, this is a section. So that way machine and humans can read your HTML page and interpret it the way you want them to. And aside from that, aside from people just reading your website by themselves, we have people that use devices, maybe like screen readers and stuff like that, and your website will be able to like respond to those users in a very, very good way. And that is the essence of HTML5. For one, search engine optimization, which is called SEO, and secondly, accessibility, which is very, very important, because you want your website to be inclusive, so that everyone can come to your website and have a very good experience using your website. So I have some websites here where you can read more about HTML5. You can use Wikipedia have some stuff about HTML5, which I think is cool. So they talked about it. I think it was first released in 2008, and then it became a W3C recommendation status in 2014. So this W3C is something you need to like know about them. It's cool. They are the organizations that are in charge of all the website standard that we have. That I'm saying that so this is w3.org, so W3C, so they call it Web Standards Consortium. So these are the organization that give specifications, like, okay, we are going to be using H tag, we're going to be using P tag, we're going to be using this, because the idea is this: everything in computers are made up by human beings like us. There are specifications and guidelines so that everyone can speak the same language. Just like English, just like every other language we speak in the world, is the way people communicate, right? And that is the same thing web HTML is. HTML, CSS are just guidelines of how things should be expressed on the web, so that the web browser can understand it and human beings can write it, and then people can learn from those standards. So you understand? So it's not about just cramming all of these things. They're just standards, and then if you use them correctly, they give you what you want. So, and that's the amazing things about it. And then if you want to read more about it, what is HTML5, you can go to html.com and /HTML5. You can read a lot of other information about HTML5. You can see a lot of these things that we talked about: the header, the nav, the main, article, aside, section. There are other ones also that we have not been able to talk about, but throughout this course we are going to be talking about all of these HTML5 elements, and then you're going to learn about all of them. So for this particular section, what is the task that we need to do? We said that create a second P element with the following information also. So we already have a P element we've created before, if you remember this, and then we're going to create a new one, and then we put this lorem ipsum inside, right? So, and then we need to create a main element and nest only the two P elements inside the main. So we want to learn create a main element, right? So that next the P elements inside. So, and that's it. So right now we have our H2, and then we have a main element that have two children inside, the first P and the second P, and that's it. Right now visually you will not see any different. There is nothing, it's just here. You understand? So, but then semantically this is better, because we have been able to group these two elements together to be in one main, and then our content reader can understand that, oh, this is our header and then this is our main content area. You understand? And that doesn't work. Before HTML5 you normally use div for things like this. We put div here and then we put another div here. So if you click on this, you can see the div element has no special meaning at all. It represents its children. It can be used with the class, lang, and all of those things. It really have no special meaning. But then if we want to give this content like something more meaningful, like, okay, this is the main content area, and then we use the main, so this change how our content is read by other search engines or screen readers. And then you can see the main element represents the main content of the body of a document or application. So this makes more sense instead of just using arbitrary div that doesn't mean anything. So I hope that helped. If you have any questions, you want to get more, when you are doing your practice, just put your mouse over this tooltip will come up, and then you can read more about it. And then if you click on it, you go to MDN reference to even get more clarifications about these things. And when you're done, you can play around these, create more HTML elements, and then you see the result of what we are building, and then you can join me in the next class. So if we run the test, this should run fine, and then we can go to the next one. So in the next class, we're going to talk about images and how you could put image, how you can use image and display images in a web application. See you in the next one.